our story time. You know the book we're reading, Adventures of the Wishing Chair by Enid Blyton. Put on your glasses, Grandma. Remember what happened last time? They went to Disappearing Island, except it wasn't there and they fell in the water. Well, I hope this one is a better story. It's called The Magician's Party. Chapter 11. One afternoon, when the children and Chinky were reading their stories, there came a timid knock at the door. "Come in," called Molly. The door opened and in came two small elves. "May we speak with Chinky?" they asked. Chinky waved them to a chair. "Sit down," he said. "What do you want?" "Please, may we borrow your wishing chair to go to the Magician Greatheart's party?" said the bigger elf. "Well, it doesn't belong to me," said Chinky. "It belongs to these two children." "Would you let us borrow it?" asked the little elves. "Certainly," said Peter and Molly. "What reward do you ask?" "Oh, you can have the chair for nothing," said Molly. "Bring it back safely, that's all." "I suppose you wouldn't want to come to the party, would you?" asked the elves. "We are very small. There are only 5 of us to go. There would be plenty of room for you and Chinky and the 5 of us all on the chair." "Stars and moon, what a treat!" said Chinky. "Yes, we'll all go. Thanks very much. Greatheart's parties are glorious. My word, this is luck. When is the party, elves?" "Tomorrow night," said the elves, "sharp at midnight. We'll be here at 11:30. "Right," said Chinky. And the little elves said goodbye and ran out. Chinky rubbed his hand and turned to the two children. "Oh, the magician is a marvellous fellow," he said. "He is a good magician, and the enchantments and the magic he knows are perfectly wonderful. I hope he does a few tricks. Put on your best clothes and be here at 11:30 tomorrow night." The children were most excited. They talked about nothing else all day long and the next day too. They woke up and dressed themselves in their best clothes and ran down to the playroom at 11:30 at night. Chinky was there, looking very grand indeed, for he had on a suit that seemed to be made with silver moonbeams sewn with pearls. The elves were there waiting, all dressed daintily in flower petals sewn with spider thread. Even the wishing chair looked smart, for Chinky had tied a big bow on each of its arms. Its red wings were flapping lazily. The children got in and Chinky sat on the back. The 5 little elves easily found room on the 2 arms. Off they went, flying through the moonlight to their great and wonderful party. The magician's palace was set high on the top of a hill. The chair did not take long to get there. It flew down and took its place among the long line of carriages that were drawing up, one by one, to the big front door. When their turn came, the children and the elves jumped off the chair and ran up the steps. They were shown into the great hall, and there they shook hands with the great magician, Greatheart, a tall and handsome enchanter whose cloak rippled out as he walked, as though it was made of blue water. His eyes were kind and looked right through everyone. A band was playing merrily in the big hall, and Chinky caught hold of Molly and danced with her. Peter found a small shy fairy and danced with her too, although she was so light that he couldn't make up his mind if she was real or not. There were hundreds of fairy folk of all kinds, gnomes, goblins, brownies, fairies, elves, pixies, but only 2 children, So Molly and Peter felt most honoured. Then came the supper. It was so queer. The long, long table was spread with plates and glasses and dishes. But there was no food at all. No, not even a yellow jelly. The magician took his place at the end of the table. "Will you each wish for what you like best to eat?" he said in his deep, kind voice. "Take it in turn, please." A brownie next to him said, "I wish for honey lemonade and sugar biscuits." And at once a jug of yellow lemonade appeared by him and a plate of delicious sugar biscuits. The fairy next to the brownie wished for chocolate blancmange and a cream ice. They appeared even as she spoke the words. It was such fun to see them appear. Molly and Peter watched in amazement at all the dishes and jugs on the table and the table became full of the most exciting things when each little creature wished his or her wish. And they had their turn too. "I wish for cream buns and ginger beer," said Molly. "And I wish for treacle pudding and lemonade," said Peter. A dish of cream buns and a bottle of fizzy ginger beer appeared right in front of Molly, and a dish with steaming hot treacle pudding and a jug of lemonade appeared by Peter. It was just like a dream. Everyone ate and drank and was as merry as could be. And then, after supper, the magician spoke one strange word. And the long, long table, with its dishes and plates, vanished into thin air. That's a quick way to tidy up. "Now we will have some magic," said the magician, beaming at his excited guests. They all sat down on the floor. The magician took a silver stick and tapped 3 times on the floor. A spire of green smoke came up and made a crackling noise, and it shot up into the air, turned over and over, and wound its way among the guests, dropping tiny bunches of sweet-smelling flowers as it passed, one for each of them to put in their buttonhole. The smoke went. The magician tapped the floor again. And up rose 5 black cats, each with a violin, except for the last one. He had a drum. After the cats came 6 plump rabbits, who danced to the tunes that the cats played. One rabbit turned upside down and danced on his ears. That made Peter laugh so much he had to get out his handkerchief and wipe the tears away. Tears of laughter. It was so funny. But there's no picture. You have to imagine. Then an even stranger thing happened next. The magician tapped the floor once more, and up came a great flower of yellow. It opened, and in the middle of it the guests could see 5 red eggs. The eggs broke, and out came tiny chicks. They grew and grew and grew and became great brilliant birds with long drooping tails. And then the birds opened their beaks and sang so sweetly a sound that was all you could hear in the great hall. The birds flew away. The flower faded. The magician tapped the floor for one last time. A gnome appeared, whose long beard floated around him like a mist. He handed Great Heart a big dish with a lid. The magician took off the lid and lifted out a silver spoon. He stirred in the air, and a bubbling sound came. Round the spoon grew a glass bowl. The children could see the spoon shining in it. But suddenly the spoon turned to gold and swam about. A live goldfish! He made it from the air. Greatheart took the goldfish neatly into his hand and threw it into the air. It disappeared. "Who has it?" said Greatheart. Everyone looked about, but no one had the fish. Greatheart laughed and went over to Molly. He put his hand into her right ear and pulled out a goldfish. Then he took up Peter's hand and opened it. And would you believe it? There was a chick inside, cheeping away merrily. The tricks that magician did. No one would believe them. Peter and Molly rubbed their eyes several times. They wondered if they were dreaming. Best of all came the last trick. The magician, as he said goodnight to his guests, gave each of them a tiny egg. "It will hatch tomorrow," he said. "Keep it safely." The children thanked him very much for a marvellous evening, and then they got sleepily into the wishing chair with Chinky and the elves. How they got home they never knew, for there must have been magic that took them home, undressed them, and popped them into their bed without them even knowing. Anyway, they found themselves in their own bed when they woke up in the morning, although they did not remember how they got there. "I believe it was all a beautiful dream," said Molly. "It wasn't," said Peter, putting his hand under his pillow. He brought out his little egg, and as he looked at it, it broke. And there in his hand was a tiny silver watch, ticking away merrily. "Oh!" Molly gave a scream of delight and put her hand under her pillow to get her egg too. It broke in her hand, and out of it came a necklace of beads that looked exactly like bubbles. It was one of the loveliest one Molly had ever seen. "Hurry up and dress. We'll see what Chinky got," said Molly. They hurried, and when they saw Chinky, he showed them his present. Golden buckles for his shoes. Didn't they look grand? "That was the loveliest party I've ever been to," said Molly happily. "I wish all our wishing chair adventures were like that." That's the end of the chapter. That was one of the nicest chapters. I would love to go to a party with a magician in charge. Wouldn't you? Remember, subscribe to my channel and it's easy for you to find me to come back. Bye-bye.